Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Dungeon Hearts. So before we get started, I should mention, this is a pre-release beta of a game that will be on Steam, I believe at the end of March, but since I'm going to be away at PAX at that time, or PAX East, I guess to be more specific, I thought I would get a video up of this before, so that you actually have something, you know, to gauge your purchasing decision on, if you will, when it actually comes out. So the easiest way to describe this game is that it's kind of like Bejeweled meets Rock Band. It's a puzzle game in the same vein as almost like something like 10 Million. It's a RPG-inspired dungeon crawler that has match 3 mechanics. Let's get started here, and we'll explain how this actually works. I believe this is going to be $3. I should reiterate again, this is playable beta, so if you see any kind of bugs or anything like that, this is not the full release. So we have a monster, and the game is set up into encounters like this. What we're going to do is we're going to be matching notes, for lack of a better word, these circles down this note highway, and when we match 3 of them, they become a diamond, and the way these diamonds interact creates an attack on an enemy. So what we have to do, let's just try to get a good example here. We can move things around the note highway pretty freely, and again, I will probably make many Rock Band comparisons here, which may either annoy you or maybe you find it hilarious, depending on your perspective, but the more kind of connections we make in one go, the higher our attack multiplier gets. And I'll try to explain the basic mechanics, but this is one of those games that's pretty difficult to play and, you know, record at exactly the same time. Like, that one was pretty good. I'm surprised that didn't kill that guy all at once. Basically, the way this works, let's do it simply. We create a diamond. If we attack with a diamond, it kills all of the same color spheres or diamonds in its row, and it also kills one row downwards. So what we could do here is create something like this, which will... Oh, that was pretty good, but it could have been better. That was not a good explanation. By the way, the enemies can do damage to us as well, as you can see by these diamonds right here. Basically, as that diamond reaches the end, it will do damage. If things reach the end, they just fall off the note chart, which is obviously disappointing for everyone involved. Okay, that guy's dead. I haven't even explained the basic mechanics of, like, our party here, because this actually does matter. Each color corresponds to one of the... Oh, don't fuck this up. Each color corresponds to one of the classes. So as we, like, get these stars, this will level up our classes based on which color we actually hit. So I'm going to try to level them up reasonably equally, but it doesn't always work out like that. Oh, you can do it! Ah, we could have done that a lot easier. So you might be noticing a kind of mobile-type interface here. This game actually is going to be out for Android, I believe, and maybe iOS. Or maybe it's iOS for sure and Android maybe. I'm not 100% sure about that yet, so I'm just gonna keep doing this right here. Our main goal is to kill all the enemies, and again, in kind of a 10 Million style. I wouldn't necessarily call this a roguelike, but we're gonna be trying to beat the boss at the end, which is going to require us to level up a substantial amount. So you don't always have to click and drag. I haven't really been doing a great job of showing that so far, but instead of clicking and dragging, let's see if I can get a good example here. First things first, let's set this up. Okay, what you can do is just click on where you want the diamond to form, and assuming there are 3 adjacent circles, that will allow you to create that diamond. So let's do this and this. We can almost clear all rows. We probably could have if I was acting a little bit faster, but mainly our main focus is going to be on doing some attacks, but mostly keeping these enemy shots off the note chart. Otherwise they... Oh, how did I botch that? Otherwise they are going to be super annoying for us, as you might be able to imagine. But in any case, these early enemies are super easy. I'm not sure if I mentioned this 100%, but let's try to get this set up. Like, oh god, what have I done? I can't find any levels. This would be very embarrassing. Okay, at least get a couple. The problem is it always starts in positions where there's like no levels available for you to get, and then you just have to kind of make it work for yourself. Like, you've got to find one and then start shifting them around like it's a kind of brain teaser. Okay, wall hex. A wall appears from between the hero and the enemy, absorbing attacks from the hero until it is destroyed. That seems super annoying. As you can tell, there's a very mobile type interface going on here. So we can move these stone ones around. The problem with the stone ones is that they actually won't give us any benefit. Hopefully that makes some sense to you. That was a really good attack there, actually. Like, we can't match 3 stone ones up in order to clear them, so they're just gonna kind of annoy us on our screen, which is okay. We should be able to, yeah, clear the wall hex there. Unfortunately, that'll stop us from doing damage to the enemy for a while, but so be it. So let's just make sure we're clearing things out effectively here, and we'll proceed. You know, there's like scenery changes, so like after the 4th boss or 4th enemy or 4th encounter, whatever you want to describe it as, is probably not super important. Whenever you get past like that one, they will start to introduce like a snow world, and then we'll probably move on to another world. But I don't think I've gotten past like level 5 in this game. Overall, I played about 40 minutes of this so far, and I watched Kate play about 20 minutes. And I gotta say, I'm not super psyched on this game in its current state, at least. To me, it kind of feels like, you know, a 10 million was surprisingly good, in my opinion. Not to say that I thought the game was going to be bad, but, you know, I did have kind of the thinking that, you know, it's just a match 3 game that's super derivative. It ended up being good fun in its own right. I don't necessarily think that this is as playable as 10 million, because the strength of 10 million was A, it was super simple, B, it was addictive, and C, it moved fast. I just lost an attack diamond there. This game, you know, it's simple enough. The learning curve is fairly low. I mean, it's not like we're learning how to play Dwarf Fortress here or anything. But the gameplay itself I don't find incredibly satisfying, and beyond that, it's just, that's as best as we can do here, probably. That was actually a really good attack. You can get the multiplier as high as times 10, I've seen in the tutorial, but I've never managed to get nearly that high myself. Yeah, I mean, the problem is, it's a little frustrating sometimes, and the mouse controls, I mean, I don't really like touch controls for the most part, so this probably handles better for me on PC than it would on any other device. However, sometimes it can be really frustrating, because you have these notes moving at you, and again, I use notes for lack of a better word, and sometimes, you know, it's difficult to keep your mouse kind of over them as you move throughout the chart here, which is unfortunate, because that can cause situations where you totally end up fucking up. Simply as a result of what I feel are perhaps not the most intuitive controls. And this would have changed the game completely, so feel free to completely ignore me on this one. But I almost feel like this might have worked a little bit better if it was almost like a Tetris or Bust-A-Move style control scheme, where like a wave of diamonds came up and then immediately like stayed still for a while to give you a chance to look at it, and then soon after that, like after 10 seconds or so, it shifted down like one row, and it gave you a chance to treat it like a more traditional puzzle game. This obviously would have ruined kind of the pace of what we've got going on here, but I think, oh come on, I think overall it might have made for an experience that I found a little bit more palatable, because in its current state, I find this is oftentimes fairly frustrating. The other thing that differentiates this from 10 million, and why I prefer 10 million to this game, at least from what I've played so far, and again, the game's current state, is the fact that it moves really, really slowly. So, I mean, those 10 million runs, they were derivative, and the gameplay is not super original, obviously. You know, it's a match 3, but... Oh, let's try this. That was fairly good. But the game moves super fast. Like, you'd have a match 3 run, and maybe you'd get bored of it in 45 seconds, but runs in 10 million usually didn't last that much longer than 45 seconds, so it kind of didn't really matter in the whole scheme of things. Like, the game kept moving at a quick enough pace to keep you entertained at all times, I felt at least. Whereas this game, I don't necessarily feel... Oh, don't botch it. There we go, that was okay. I don't necessarily feel that it moves at that quicker pace. Like, each run that I have in this game tends to be like 10 minutes long, and this might make me sound like I'm, you know, should get a dose of Ritalin or something, but 10 minutes seems a little too long for me to keep my attention sustained here, especially since, as far as I know, you have to start back at level 1 every single time you start playing through the game. So, you know, that's a little bit unfortunate, I think. I hope that there's, like, save points that you can get, but I've never managed to get one myself, and I've actually, in almost every single run I've played of this so far, I've ended up quitting out of boredom before I died, which is obviously a little damning, unfortunately. It's kind of unique. I just feel like the execution is not quite where I want it to be in order to make a fun, kind of semi-casual, but also, you know, engaging puzzle experience. And that's always the challenge when you have these, like, mobile games that are also coming out on the PC, is how do you make it entertaining for a PC audience? Oh, don't botch this, just do it now. How do you make it entertaining for a PC audience while still making it casual enough? Not to say that, you know, mobile gaming is always casual, but how do you make it engaging for an audience that's actually sitting down with like a 20-inch monitor and a keyboard and mouse and could be playing so many other things, as opposed to, you know, just sitting on a bus and basically being a captive audience for your product. I could easily see this being an entertaining game on mobile devices, and again, that's not a slight at mobile devices. It's just... I want to level up my red guy, because he is actually kind of woefully under-leveled at this point. Yeah, it's not a slight at mobile devices, it's just something that I notice in a lot of these multiplayer, or not multiplayer, these mobile games that are also coming to the PC, is it's difficult to maintain that balance of like, oh, I want that stone out of there. It's difficult to get that balance of something that's casual enough to pick up and play on the telephone or the iPad, while still being fun enough to play. I think I might actually take damage here for once. Nope, not quite. And that's another thing. Notice I have not taken damage yet over the course of the entire game, which may indicate to you that I feel that this is a little bit easy, or at the very least, it starts easy. I have no doubts that it probably gets exceptionally difficult as you move along. The question is whether you'll be able to stave off boredom long enough to get to those points. And that sounds insulting. Maybe it is a little insulting, but it's also my honest opinion. So hopefully you understand why I'm saying that there. Yeah, I mean, what else struggled from this? 10 million was kind of a fringe case, and perhaps it's not always fair to compare everything to, you know, an exceptional case like that. However, you know, Hero Academy, I had the same problem. I was like, I need you to make your turn right now. Don't stop waiting so long. It's just something that I find that comes up an awful lot, and I probably harped a little bit too much on that point by now. And we will move on, I guess. So I'm just going to continue. That was a bad attack there. But I'm just going to continue trying to murder these bosses or, you know, random encounters that we are coming across. The thing I'd like to point out is that the enemies don't actually have a health bar, but what they do have is a visual representation of when they get low on health. You'll see that these boss hexes or boss diamonds are getting cracked. And as they get more and more cracked, the boss gets lower and lower on health until it eventually dies. This is maybe the furthest I've ever managed to get in the game, so I'm just gonna keep going. I mean, we might as well play an entire game to completion if we're gonna judge it here. I think this is the first time I've ever made it to the caves. And again, I still have not been hit. And keep in mind, usually I have a real problem playing match 3 games on camera. Oh, I should have had that one. I have a real problem playing match 3 games on camera because, you know, you're focusing on matching things super quickly while also talking at the same time. And that can be difficult, so that should, again, give you some indication of how easy I am finding this game so far. That even my puny human brain is capable of making it happen in this case that we're dealing with right here. So I'm just going to continue. I don't really have an overall strategy. One thing I will say that's kind of cool is the ability to move your tiles around the board is kind of unique. I don't think I've ever experienced that in a game before. I was just making sure I killed that first. Yeah, I don't think I've ever experienced that in a like a match 3 puzzle game before. I want to get this wall hex out of there. So it does add like a little bit of kind of like a frantic element to the game, which is neat. I don't know if it's enough to kind of elevate it beyond where, you know, I've found my experience to fall so far, which is kind of the middling to mediocre range. But you know, it's something at the very least. I will admit that if we're gonna go for like back of the box quotes or something, this is probably one of the more unique match 3 puzzle games that I've ever played. That being said, you know, it has this like RPG element, so that's kind of cool as well. It's definitely JRPG inspired. I first encountered this game on the indie gaming subreddit, actually, where the developer was pimping it out, which it always makes me feel a little bad when I'm criticizing a game that I actively like sought out. But you know, that is to a certain extent my duty. Given what you know, the kinds of videos I produce. Anyway, we're getting like super tangential here, but you've got to forgive me because there's not too much that we can actually talk about here. I've already gone over the basic mechanics of the game, and we just continue to be kind of stuck in this area where basic mechanics are all we need. And again, that's why I like 10 million. Difficulty ramped up so quickly that it staved off the boredom really well and kept you hooked because, you know, you made also like tangible progress very quickly in that game. Whereas in this game, I still feel like I might as well, like the enemies are harder to kill in a way. They're longer to kill at least, but I still have not really run into any kind of serious danger. So I definitely think, you know, if they're still tweaking this game up to the point of release, one of the things they should absolutely work on is making it a little bit more difficult, because in its current state, it is perhaps easy to the point of boredom, and I am absolutely terrible at match 3 games, so you know, it's probably even easier for most people than I am kind of letting on here. Well, to be honest with you, I mean, we just killed another enemy. Let's go through another level up here. I don't think there's much reason to show off too much more. I mean, we do have these skills. I should probably mention those, so maybe we'll do one more encounter. As you level up, you know, as you can see, there are skills available that you can use if you get into a difficult spell during combat. That does happen. There have been times when I thought those skills were, you know, borderline necessary. Why don't we try using this one? These have like quick time events associated with them, so we're gonna use this attack here. Click the button right before impact for extra damage. Okay, so we had like a Super Mario RPG style there. What do we have with our Fate Stream? Speed is reduced while in effect. I didn't know that was actually what that skill was. So, you know, we can slow down the speed of our match here. Should point out, you know, the color coding on the classes. Red is the fighter. Can I move this? No, I can't. We're actually going to take damage for once. I think, unless I get super lucky. Oh, no, I accidentally dragged that off the screen. Okay, we are going to take damage. Maybe I need these skills. What the heck was I going to say? Red is our fighter, yellow is our mage, blue is our healer, and green is our ranged class, our archer. So every time, I think I mentioned this off the top, but if I didn't, I'll reiterate that, you know, whenever we match 3 or we use an attack diamond, that diamond corresponds to... Oh, I can't move that one. That diamond corresponds to the actual... Let's do this. Click and swipe to fire arrows at the target. Okay, I'm trying. Did that work? I don't think I hit him at all. We do also have a heal. I wonder if I can use this ability again. No, we've got an energy bar that needs to cool down, I guess. Let's shift this. That should work. Well, it almost worked. You can still do it. No, we're gonna get hit again, unfortunately. Most of our guys, I mean, we're still fine on health. I guess things are getting a little, like, more difficult now, but it's kind of too little too late, if that makes sense. Like, if I'm playing a game where I have to restart at this point every single time, I absolutely do not want to go through, like, 20 minutes. Well, I don't even know how long the video's been so far, but I don't want to go through a period this long, essentially, of not being able to kind of enjoy the game because the challenge is too low. That was a lucky hit there. We are still going to continue to take damage. We can heal ourselves by using this. Quickly click the buttons to heal. I think this is something that's going to work a lot better. We want to heal the red dude. Something that's going to work a lot better on mobile devices is those events. Because on the PC, you know, when you're using the mouse to do it, it just kind of feels a little tacky, I guess. At the very least, let's... oh, you back there. And again, I kind of dislike the way that the game controls the mouse. Might be different on touch devices, but it's not satisfying. And, you know, I watched Kate play for 20 minutes, like I said. She had pretty much exactly the same opinions. She might have actually enjoyed the game even a little bit less than I did. And she plays mobile games all the time. So that should give you maybe a little bit of a cross-section of opinion, if you will. We're going to continue until this guy is dead, though. I'm going to stick it out. He's got to be fairly close, I think. Oh, okay, that was close. We almost didn't click it there. You know, there is some genuine tension that can arise from time to time. Most of the time, it's a little bit superficial because I never really feel like we're at great risk. Or if I do feel like we're at great risk, I don't feel like we're at great risk until far too long into the game for it to be really that valuable for me. Hopefully that makes some sense. And again, like the problem with the mouse controls is that it seems super difficult to drag something like a long distance, which might make sense, I guess, from the mechanic standpoint for the game, but is also pretty frustrating. I mean, maybe those moments should be difficult, but at the same time, they're more difficult than I want them to be, for sure. So this guy's got to be almost dead at the very least. I'm just trying to get... Yeah, he's cracked a little bit. We're trying to get our skills built up so we can also, you know, do some devastating attacks in the final moments here. This should be a good one here. He's got to be very, very nearly dead. Oh, man, he's still got another attack through. But so, I mean, things got difficult fairly quickly. We're still going to survive this totally fine, though. I hope, at least. This should be a good one right here. At least managed to stop some of the damage we were about to take. And we do have the skill ability here, so let's click the button before impact for extra damage. I think that actually worked. Okay, fantastic. So this has been Dungeon Hearts. I can exit back to the main menu here. You know, take all of my criticism and weigh it against the fact that this is going to be a $3 game, at least as far as I know. So that's definitely on the cheaper side of the Steam price points. But if you're gonna play a casual dungeon crawler that is, you know, imbued with match 3 mechanics, I feel like 10 million is definitely gonna be a more fun use of your time in this game. But you know, there might be a certain kind of person that enjoys the kind of mechanics in Dungeon Hearts as well. I don't necessarily feel that this is the greatest match 3 puzzler on Steam. I have a lot of problems with the controls. The RPG elements are kind of superficial, even though I do appreciate that they give it a little bit of a, you know, unique vibe to it. But overall, I didn't have the greatest time in my time with Dungeon Hearts, and that is pretty much my final opinion on this beta build of the game. I probably won't be revisiting it when the final version comes out, because I don't know how much is going to change over the course of the next 3 weeks. In any case, as always, thank you guys for watching. There will be a link in the video description to check out Dungeon Hearts on Steam if you are interested. As always, again, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.